Hey there, guys. A few times in the last few days, I've seen some people asking questions about the Global Original Vision Card Step Up number 2. The banner is open from August 21st until August 30th. And real quick, in this video, I'm going to talk about the cards and the banner, etc. I'm not going to be pulling on it though. We're just going to be discussing it. So for 20,000 Lapis, you're getting a few guaranteed random Neos and your selection of a vision card. We'll go over the vision card in a moment. But the first question to answer is, should I pull on this banner? Overall, that's a question you need to answer for yourself, but in my opinion, I would say for the most part, if you're a player who has to ask, meaning you can't afford to pull for just everything, I would say normally I would not recommend pulling on these older banners because you're basically pulling for like older meta and you're not looking forward to the new meta. You know what I'm saying? So some of these vision cards are still very, very good, but the units you get are just off-banner units. There are no rate-ups for the newer stuff. So while you very well may get like, you know, Lightning, Malphase, whatever, something brand new, the chances are not on your side. You know, the pool is very, very large. You're very likely to get very, very old units. And then you're getting a vision card selection. So let's go ahead and look at the vision cards and see if any of these are worth 20,000 Lapis for older cards. So it's in here, just a moment. Okay, so we're going to go through all the cards one by one and just see what they're like. So the first one, Leave Things to Me. Now this one, amusingly enough, after I just said these are all old meta, this card still has quite a few uses. I like to use it every now and then, and really the only reason this card is relevant anymore is the effect. It auto-cast this effect, the 25% Greatsword in Peril, and an automatic 120% Fire and Earth in Peril. Now, as far as meta-type stuff, this is not really that big a deal. The biggest thing this is for is convenience. It makes turn 1 OTKs a little bit easier in some scenarios. It can also be used in things like Chronicle battles or EX stages, etc., that are locked to a specific set of units, and those units may not have good support or something. For example, like a Type 0 locked fight, and you don't have any good Type 0 units, you can like use this and put a great sword on Queen or something. You see what I'm saying? And it gets you a weapon in peril that you probably wouldn't otherwise have. Now, is that worth 20,000 Lapis? Probably not. Will you potentially someday see this on like a Dark Visions team that, you know, was a turn 3 clear and there's no way you could have done a great sword in peril other than this card? Possibly. But I still don't think this card is worth 20,000 Lapis. If you pulled for it in the past, you've gotten a lot of use out of it. You're still going to get more use out of it going forward. Is it worth 20k? I would say no. And so surprisingly enough, some of these older cards have apparently turned out to be more useful than we originally thought. So here's the Warrior of the Azure Crystal card. Again, the stats are relatively underwhelming. It does have 75 Demon and Human Killer, but it gives you dual wield. It gives you the 200% cap regardless of what the unit had previously, and it gives you 100% dual wield to magic and attack power. So this is basically used on units that don't have natural dual wield, but they want to. Pretty much the only relevant example of that would be Irvine. So if you're building Irvine for a race that he doesn't have great killers for naturally, this card is, for the most part, going to be one of the better options because Irvine is a unit that you want to force dual wield and he has no support for it whatsoever. So this is really good. That being said, Irvine is a pretty specialized unit. I would personally feel that he's not in the current meta parties, even though he is very, very high on damage. The problem is the rest of the party that Irvine would go on to is not super great. It's usable, it's decent, but I wouldn't call it the current meta. That would be like the Rebels or the Fire. Going forward, probably a Dark party. So again, 20,000 lapis for the crystal card. The crystal card is valuable. It does have a few uses. It's also, not that you would ever pull for this, it's good for like an auto battle clear in the item world to give your, like, you know, your X2 units berserk and quad attack, stuff like that. But again, you wouldn't pull for that. Now, the Bond of the Crimson Dragon card is pretty much worthless at this point. It's literally just some stats, a very low jump damage boost, and bad stats. This card, honestly speaking, wasn't super great on day one when it came out, and it certainly got power crept like instantly. Not a good card these days. Weaver of Wishes does give some elemental resistances, low flat stats. It does give the chain damage boost. This is the chain speed, not the chain cap. It's always confusing. I know speed or cap. This is like the chain speed or the chain floor, depending on what you want to call it. And then 200% double hand. Honestly speaking, if you want 200% double hand on a Brave Exvius unit, we're going to be getting into the Dazzle card in a few moments. You're not going to go for this card. This card is pretty much a no. It doesn't really have any use. I guess it has double hand spirit, and I think like it was used. It doesn't matter. The card is not that good. You're not going to use it. So the Proof of Resolution and Resolve. This one is a special case scenario because frequently this card will actually be one of the best in slot cards for a damage dealing build Lilith. So if Lilith is going to build versus races that she doesn't have innates for, this vision card opens up a lot of slots for her. It gives 100% defense, 500 defense, it gives some LB damage, it gives defense double hand, it gives the chain cap up. This is the cap this time. It also gives chain speed, which is good for Lilith and her tag chaining. So yeah, all of these things are really, really good for Lilith as a damage dealer. Now the flat defense, or the base defense, is pretty low, but then again, we don't really have any great defense cards, so it's not that low. It's like 20 lower than one of the other alternatives. So once again, here's the thing, like, is it a good card in very specific scenarios? Sure. And, you know, when you're using Lilith in Clash of Wills, and you're building for a race combo she's not good at, this card is usually going to be better than, for example, her own card. Is it worth 20,000? I don't think it is. So there you go. Now the Dazzling Demoness. This is going to be probably the most enticing card on the banner. You know, this one needs no introduction. Everyone knows the Dazzling Demoness card, or the Meteor card, if you want to call it that. This is the card that makes units like, you know, Golbez, Sage, X-Death, and then more recently, oh god, what's his name? Genesis, and then the upcoming Tyvis. It makes them overpowered, just to put it simply. Now, here's the catch here. As much as Dazzling Demoness is a wonderful card, if you've got 20,000 lapis to spend on a Meteor card, I have to ask you, why didn't you pull for the Parade card, which is basically just the upgraded Dazzling Demoness, and it was just on a banner like a week and a half ago. And that, I mean, that one did cost 28k, but for that one you were pulling for a better card and a brand new, pretty strong unit. So I feel like anyone that I could legitimately recommend pull the Dazzling Demoness card right now, I have to wonder why you didn't pull the better card a week and a half ago. You see what I'm saying? But if for some reason you just absolutely could not afford the Parade card a week and a half ago, you don't have the Dazzling Demoness, you really want the Dazzling Demoness because you want Genesis, or you have Genesis, or you're going for Tyvis in the future, and you have no other MP cards except like Oliveras, then sure, Dazzling Demoness is going to be still high value for you, probably worth 20k. I just feel like anyone that cares that much about a Meteor card, you know, for good reason, but anyone that really is all in for Dark Visions and all, you should have pulled for the better card a week and a half ago. Now that being said, this one does have two different killers that are pretty hard killers. So Insect Killer and Aquatic Killer. I do believe the last Dark Visions, the Insect Killer on this card of 100%, made this card even better than the new card, just because of the killer. So against those two races, Dazzling Demon is still going to usually be better than the Parade card. And then for Brave Exvius units, it does give 200% double hand and the chain cap up. Again, well, the chain cap is on the other card as well, but the double hand on this card can make it better than the Parade card. Anyway, again, this is probably the highest quality card of the selection on this banner. The Lone Swordsman card, again, it's a relatively low damage card. We don't really care about it for the stats on it. The stats are not bad. I mean, 120, 100%, 500. Sure, that's fine. It also has some killers on it, small LB damage boost. But honestly, the real reason you would use this card is the effect. The effect gives any unit AoE Extreme Nova frames. Now, that's not that big a deal just because we've got two different materias, limited materias, that also give you Extreme Nova, although they are single target. This one's AoE. Actually, no. They're AoE too, aren't they? No, those are AoE. But the other option is the permanent STMR of Dwayne. Also gives you Extreme Nova frames. That one is single target, though. Yeah, so if you want AoE, here's an option. The damage is relatively not good. It's 2,000 modifier. It's attack based, meaning you can't focus it, so it's not that special. The damage is whatever. It's mostly a support chaining tool, or maybe to give to Mastermind Zahn and Dark Visions. But again, I wouldn't spend 20k for that card. The Cool Smile. I'm realizing just about all of these cards do have some kind of niche use scenario. Other than the Bond with the Dragon, they've all and Weaver of Wishes, they've all had so far they've had scenarios where you would definitely want to use these cards. Wow, high quality cards. Overall, these cards really are all pretty high quality. It's just they're older at this point. Anyway, Cool Smile card. Are you seeing a theme here? The stats on it are pretty bad. 115 is very, very low these days. It does have 100% killer to bird and machine. And again, these killers, depending on the race, depending on the unit, can make it, valuable and worth using a lower stat card if it's going to give you killers you couldn't otherwise get. But again, the reason you would use this is this effect. It gives a 50x modifier to a morale scaling limit burst. And for some units, you can double dip on this. For example, Chizuru can double dip on this. Oliveira can quad dip on this. Keep in mind, this effect is locked to Brave Exvius units only. So basically, the near units cannot use this. 2B would love this card if she could use it because she'd double dip as well. But she's not Brave Exvius, therefore it doesn't work on her. So really, the main unit who sees use and uses this would be Chizuru. It is technically really good in Oliveira. It's just that we're not using Oliveira, so whatever. But yeah, this is basically a Chizuru card. No one else really cares about this because the stat loss to use this is usually not going to be worth it, except for Chizuru. Keep in mind also, this special effect is only active for the first 5 turns, kind of like the Titus STMR. So, Clash of Wills, even on Chizuru, it's questionable if it's worth using because it won't help you, it won't do anything for you turns 6 through 10. Still, really good card, sees tons and tons of use in turn 1 kills. It is good on turn 1 kills for Oliveira, Richt, etc. Not Oliveira, Ibarra, Richt, etc. because, the 50x modifier means more if you're not doing other modifier buffs and stuff. But, yeah, there you go. The Kind-Hearted Demon. This one, no special unique effects here. It's just a good stat card. So 125 magic, 200% double hand. Again, 200%, well, 100% times 2 killers. Some resistances and magic. And it gives evocation damage. So the only this is Brave Exvius only. The only Brave Exvius evoker that matters at all is Tsukiko. So this card is usually going to be good on Tsukiko. I do think Ibarra's premium card is overall better on Tsukiko. But this makes Tsukiko gear easier, which is real nice. So this one, nothing unique here, nothing special, just a very, very good stat card and pretty high quality. I use this card relatively often, and Dragon and Fairy Killer. Dragon's pretty easy to gear for, but Fairy Killer is a little trickier. Midnight Revelers. This is, once again, just really high quality cards across the board. So this card is by far the best Omni-Cover tank card. So anyone that is tanking both physical and magical damage at the same time, either your magic tank that's provoking, or your physical tank that's provoking magic damage, single target magic damage, or an Omni-Cover tank, you know, Chow, Esther, or any of the Omni-Covers, Abigail, Cecil, whoever. This is the best card because it gives, you know, not the greatest HP, but defense and spirit, 120 each, 500 defense and spirit with 150% defense double hand, and then the same thing for spirits. And all of that is universal, not locked. And then for Brave Exvius only, some resistances, technically some killers as well. I guess that could matter for like Lilith, because no other tank. Well, I guess maybe Elena as well. But yeah, so there you go. Just a really, really amazing tank card. Then the hard-hitting Sage. This one is, I mean, it's not a bad card or anything. It's 100% double hand, some magic, some killers for Brave Exvius only, human and machine this time, a little bit of LB damage. But the main reason you would want this card is this effect right here. It gives caster only. This is only for the unit equipping it. You cannot target this. 100% light damage amplify after 3 turns. So really, really nice for, I guess the primary unit would be Quistis. If you're using Quistis as a damage dealer, unironically, she'd probably want this to give herself a 100% amplify because she doesn't have her own amplify. Other than that, I can't think of anyone that would really want to use this card specifically for the amplify. I guess you could make, you know, you could argue the case for something like Ibarra on a light party with Rain as the leader. I'm not sure why you would ever do this, but you get the idea. Like really, really just Quistis uses this for the most part. I don't think anyone else really cares about the Amplify. But that being said, going forward, there's always going to be some new unit that might see use and want this. Knight of Gift Giving. This is, again, a card that is mostly just for the stats. It does have a great unique effect, though. Again, just good stats overall. Demon and Stone Killer, very nice. But this one, it gives you focus. It gives you focus with no cooldown, so you can literally use this every other turn. You can focus, burst, etc. And it's a full-powered focus, all 300% in one action. So the other alternative for units that don't have it naturally would be Dark Rain's TMR, and that takes 2 turns to stack up. This is only 1 turn. Keep in mind, it is Brave Exvius locked. Only Brave Exvius units can do this. Now, as cool as that sounds, the reality is no one really cares, to be honest. Maybe Tsukiko or something. But pretty much every other mage that is Brave Exvius locked that wants focus has it in their kit already. I really do think Tsukiko is the only one that this would be a big deal for. And it is kind of good for her. But yeah, it basically saves Tsukiko 1 turn on getting a max powered focus. Tsukiko's damage is so power crept at this point, you don't really care that much about optimizing her. Like, just give her Dark Rain's TMR and whatever. But there you go. Resolute Knight is a hybrid card, and it gives you a self-only Ice Amplify. Again, after 3 turns, we get a 100% Ice damage boost. So this one is, because it's a hybrid, because it's a hybrid card, or attack and magic, I should say, it's not really for hybrids, attack or magic, this is a lot more flexible. The previous one, the Sage card, that one was only for mages, whereas physical units are going to be much more wanting the card. This one is for anyone. So this one, pretty good card. The biggest issue is it's for ice. And ice, as we know, even going forward, is not seeing a whole lot of primary use. Like you might use ice on a element locked dark vision stage or something, but ice is not the meta. 6 months later in JP, ice is still not the meta. You know, so when are we caring about ice? The answer is pretty much never. So as good as the card is, it's for the wrong element. That's just all there is to it. Dancing White Dragon. So here we get into some of these cards where I guess there's some specialized cases you would care, but for the most part, they're not good enough. So the special thing on this card is killers. 160% killer to 4 different races, and some mitigation for 50% for 4 different races. So as good as that seems, like it's for 1 unit self only, and how many times are you having someone on a party where only 1 person on the party needs the killers? That's basically never. Like, if you need Aqua Killer, you're going to bring, I guess the best Aqua Killer is like Nicole or Roberta or something. If you need Human Killer, you're bringing Ihana. If you need Dragon Killer, you're bringing, was it Rosa? If you need Stone Killer, you're bringing Ilmatil, etc. I think it's Ilmatil. Anyway, the point is, you're going to have a way to give Killer to the whole party anyway. Giving it to 1 person is kind of irrelevant, and it's only 160%. That is not high enough to matter. Now, as far as the mitigations, absolutely amazing. On anyone, 50% mitigation to 4 different things. The issue here, 4 turn duration, 10 turn cooldown. So here's the problem. If you're a tank and you require these mitigations to live, then you require these mitigations to live. So this is going to buy you 4 turns, and then you're going to die on turn 5. See the problem? Like, mitigations have to be full uptime, because if you don't need them, you don't need them. If you do need them, you need them. There is no partial uptime mitigation scenario that's good here. You know, with the exception of like some big burst turn, then you can use like a 99% mitigation cooldown or like an 80% mitigation cooldown for 1 turn. Sure, that matters every now and then. But something like this is something that you need either full uptime or you didn't need it in the first place. And that's the problem here. So overall, I couldn't really recommend the Dancing Dragon card. Steady and Sacred Shield. So here's a card that for magical tanks is just straight up better than the previous one. I forgot what it's called. The dual tank card. Midnight Revelers. So for this one, is good for dual type tanks if you're taking both types of damage. If you're only taking magical damage, this card is just better. So you lose all the defense, but you gain 1,000 more base HP, which after passives is 5,000 extra HP, which is nice. You know, it's nice. It also gives you more spirit, more double hand, and it gives you a bunch of resistances and guts. So for pure magical tanking, this one is just superior. That's all there is to it. But if you need a dual type tank, the other card is better. Wind Across the Heavens. This card is a dual wield card, but it doesn't give you dual wield like the Azure card. So if you need someone like, for example, Irving, that needs to enable dual wield, you're going to want to use the Azure card. This card is a really missed opportunity by Gumi. They really did this card dirty. So yeah, so dual wield. It does have double hand on it as well. It's just like, it's not good enough. That's all there is to it. Like, you need like something unique here. This is just some jump damage. Like, really, come on. This card needs something else. It's very generic, very underwhelming. No killers, no unique effect. It's not giving chain cap, nothing. It's like, whatever, skip card. Shimmering Hoarfrost is a magical card. 50% to 4 killers. Honestly speaking, I feel like this is worse than 100. I'd rather 100% to 2 killers. Make it better but more specialized, not worse and generalized. I don't like this. And then again, here's the problem here. There is nothing going on with this card. It's just some low killers and some stats. There is not even like double hand or LB damage. This card is just one of the very, very low qualities on this banner. World Ender. So here we go again. The Amplify card. Mage card. 80% mage it, 80% magic, etc. MP cost reduction is convenient, not really important though. It also gives the flat stats, but more importantly, as usual, 100% dark. Again, self only, and only for mages. So once again, we have a scenario where I can't really think of a mage that cares about this. Like maybe Olivera, but once again, like Olivera, we're not using him, so who cares? Or like the old Ibarra. Technically, this would give her an Amplify. Are we using the old Ibarra? No, we're not. So once again, it's like these cards shouldn't be self-only, because the unit that would want to use it doesn't exist. Like who actually is going to use this card? You see what I'm saying? Anyone that is worth using has their own Amplify. And there's the problem there. Yeah, these kind of cards are way better on physical units, because like Richt or something can flex to any element party. If you put the World Ender card on Olivera, well, he's still locked to darkness, so who cares? You get it? Anyway, and none knew him. So another dual type card, attack and magic, and it has this. So Beast Killer. So at the very least, we are getting into the good killers at 250%. The issue is, once again, it's a self-only killer. If you need Beast Killer, you're bringing a Beast Killer buffer for the party, meaning you didn't really need this. Now, I do think we don't have a single target 250 Oh, actually we do. Fina Dark Lineage, I think, does 250 Beast single target. I think. I could be forgetting. In any case, the issue here is if you need Beast Killer, you're bringing a Beast Killer buffer. These killer cards really should have been AoE, because making them self-only is just, if you need Beast Killer, you're bringing a buffer. Giving it to one person is not going to do anything. Come on. Then Star-Rending Claws. This one, I mean, the stats are good, and it does have 3 different killers at 100%. This is so much better than 50%. I like this card a lot. And then it also gives you Absolute Mirror of Equity. This is the only reliable source of Absolute Mirror of Equity. You can, technically speaking, get it externally from throwing weapons or throwing coins. For 1 million gil a pop, you can use a throwing coin, triple Absolute Mirror of Equity. The issue is you can't use consumables in Clash of Wills. And then in Dark Visions, do you really want to spend 1 million gil every single attempt you roll variants? No, you don't. So this card is the only reliable source of Absolute Mirror of Equity triple cast. The damage is low, but the killers are great. The killers are amazing. Other than that, the stats are very generic, just attack power and HP. Good, whatever. No LB damage, but that's fine. The killers are real nice. 3 killers. So 3 killers at 100% each, real nice. And that's it. You can't pick anything more recent. So once again, 20,000 Lapis. Do you want to spend that on older cards? Well, honestly, after going through them and looking at them, some of them are still very, very useful and very, very good. There are certainly a few duds in here, like looking right here at you. There's definitely some duds in here, but a few of these are really good. Not this one. Where is it? Here we go. So if you don't have the Meteor card, once again, if you didn't pull the old one, if you're going for Tyvis, etc., here's a card for you. Other than that, for the most part, I would say save and spend on future new units instead. But the decision is yours. Hope it helped. See you in a bit.